Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out my channel. And today we're working on a Troy built push mower. The customer complained that it was hard to start, sometimes it wouldn't start. And she also mentioned that she was experiencing a problem whenever this problem started, and that was this cable had a lot of slack in it. Actually, the cable fell out a couple times, she said. So what I'm going to do is show you the mechanism that's attached to this cable and how it operates, but we're going to have to first take apart some things. So let's go ahead and start that. There's a couple of Phillips screws that need to be taken apart. Now every mower that's similar to this, as far as having a Briggs & Stratton engine with a gas tank mounted to the blower housing, it's all going to be very similar. The steps that take off these products, as far as the covers, may be a little bit different for yours, and you might have to like remove the oil cap to get the gas tank off and then put the oil cap back on, that kind of a thing. However, for the most part, this is going to be the same for all of them. Alright, let's go ahead and take off these two screws here. Not very difficult at all. There you go, and the cover's off. Okay, now that that cover's off, you can see down inside here that there are some screws that are holding the tank onto the blower housing. They're 5/16 head screws, and there's 3 of them. Now some of the mowers, like I said, may be a little bit different, and there might be 4 of them. Most likely though 3. Now some caution when you're taking these out. Make sure that you don't lose them. It might be a good idea to have a magnetic pickup tool, because there's a chance that it could fall down into the blower housing. Also, like I said, on some of them the gas tank surrounds the oil cap completely, and it won't allow the tank to come off, and you'd have to remove the oil cap also, but that's not the case here. We're going to go ahead and remove those screws. So I'll do that and I'll come right back. Alright, so to remove these 2 screws, or these 3 screws, not a big deal at all. Like I said, once they're loose, that one came out. I'll just get my magnetic pickup tool and zip off the other 2, make sure I don't lose them, and set them off to the side. Okay, now that those screws are off, you can see the tank is wanting to come off a little bit, but it's still being hung on to. And that's because it's attached in one other way. Let me turn this around real quick. And this is a little bit harder to see, but if you look here, there's a shiny bolt. You need to remove that. That's a 3/8 headed bolt. And I want to show you also that there's a spacer that's behind the tab that's attached to the tank. Now on this model, this spacer is attached to the tab and comes out with the tank. However, on most models, the older models, this spacer is not attached, and when you pull this bolt out, you may drop this spacer and not realize it. And when you go to bolt the tank back on, without that spacer in place, it will snap off this tab that's attached to this tank and cause a problem, possibly with it leaking. So be cautious with that, and I'll show it to you once it's off. So let's go ahead and take that off. Go ahead and remove that. And there's the bolt. Set that off to the side. And when you remove this, you got to be careful not to lose that spacer. Okay, so I removed that bolt and I've lifted the tank off. Now, I still have the fuel line attached because I'm not doing anything with the tank or the carburetor. I'm just moving this out of the way so I can get to the blower housing and underneath the blower housing. So I want to show you here the spacer. Now on some of the mowers, this is not attached and it falls out, and when you go to bolt it back up to the hole, the mounting hole on the block, it will snap this off and cause a problem. So be careful with that. Now what we're going to do is take off this 5/16 inch bolt, which holds the dipstick on. So let's do that. You can see this is solid wire, just zip it off. And it looks really similar to the other ones that we took off earlier. So you can put them with those because they are most likely interchangeable and it doesn't make a difference. Okay, so the bolt's removed, and what you want to do is just lift this dipstick up. It comes out of the tube right there, and you can see the O-ring. And then I just rotate it around in my case, and I'll stick it back in just to keep the oil from sloshing around and possibly out. Now we're going to go after this bolt here, those are 3/8, and this bolt here and this bolt here, those are also 3/8. So let's go ahead and remove those. Alright, so first I'm going to start with the ones in the back. And I just leave them laying on the deck, so I know that those go to the back. And now those are a little longer in this case. And those are out. Okay, now that all the bolts are removed that holds the blower housing on, which like I said is just 4 bolts, I lift the blower housing out, and since it's on a retractable with the cord, I just let it stay off to the side here. It doesn't really make a difference where it goes. Now what I'm going to do is spin the mower around so we can take a look at the operation of that brake control. Okay, so here we have the brake control now. And what I want to show you is it does a couple things. One, the reason they call it a brake control is because here's the brake. Here's the surface that the brake rides on. You can see that it's showing signs that it has rubbed the flywheel, which is pretty typical. It's not that old, but the wear is typical, so I don't see any problems there. However, the other thing that this does, there is an electrical contact that goes to the coil via this wire. When you move that cable, it pulls the braking system. What it does is it allows the coil to generate spark. And in this case, this is not being pulled far enough to allow that to happen. It's almost being pulled far enough, but not quite. So now we have a problem with the cable. And we have to identify what the problem is. It's not very old, and the cable looks really good. It's in good shape, and it's not rusted, it's not corroded, and it's not hanging up. So at that point, I have to think that there's a problem with the ends of the cable. Now, just to give you a heads up, on some of these, people have removed these bails and reinserted them in the wrong holes. That's not the case here. For example, there's a hole here, and on some mowers there's a corresponding hole on this side, and they accidentally put the bail too low. Also, there's times that there's a couple of different holes on the bail and it's being inserted incorrectly, or maybe they've bent the bail to where it's not going back as far as it should. And like I said, this is not the case with this at all. All these situations do not apply to this mower. So I've got to look at the ends, and I'm thinking that whenever they made the cable, there must have been some sort of a problem. Now, to check out this end, I'm going to have to collapse. Let me look inside here. I'm going to have to collapse these 2 tabs that are inside and slide it out. That's what this slot on the sides provided for, to allow the cable to come out. Same down here, I'm going to have to compress these 2 tabs that hold this cable in place and take it off, and then inspect the cable individually off the mower. So let me go ahead and remove that and take a look at what we have going on. Okay, so you see that I have it disconnected from the brake control there, and I have it disconnected from the bail, which I'll reinsert this bail just so I don't accidentally bend it. And looking at the ends, I don't see any problems here. Everything looks good. It looks like it's crimped. It is loose, but I don't know if that's a problem. Let me go ahead and spin it out and see how much movement it's got. Okay, although this end spins free of the casing, it's not coming off, so that's okay. So we're going to go to this end and check out the same thing. Of course it spins. Let me see if it's free from the casing. Yeah, see, there's a problem there. And I'll tell you what happened in this case. Whenever they were manufacturing the cable, what they did was they crimped this end, or applied this end to the casing and shipped the mower, and now over time it has seated itself deeper, and that's why the cable's showing as if it's too long. Okay, so let me show you what I did here. Trying to save the cost of getting a new cable, which this one don't necessarily need. I went ahead and fabricated this. This is a cap of some sort that I've had, and I opened it up to accommodate the cable size. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this into the end to take up some space. Here's what the piece looks like. I'm going to go ahead and insert that in here. Okay, so you can see the fitting and how I've got it pressed in the end there, and it's definitely taken up a lot more space. I may have to make adjustment to the cable length to make sure that it's closing all the way whenever the bail is released. So let's go ahead and install this and see how it works. Okay, so I got it back together with the spacer. You can see here that there's kind of a weird, strange bend to it, but I looked and the movement is fine. I could actually place that over there and everything's okay. And we'll go ahead and operate the handle. Well, let me show you here. The handle, you can see the cable's now taut. It still has some slack in it, just like it's supposed to. And whenever you pull the cable, it disengages the kill switch for the coil. And it removes the brake off the flywheel. You can see that the movement's relatively smooth, so there's not really a problem there. So it looks like it's fixed. I'll go ahead and bolt this together, start it, we'll see how it runs. Alright, so now that it's all together, let's go ahead and try to start it. First pull, go figure that out. She's got herself a good mower. Well, it's new enough, it should be good. But you can see here that the cable's got a full range of motion now and is definitely disengaging that brake. So we're set. Thanks for watching my channel. I appreciate it. And as always, if you want to see more like this, click like or subscribe, and I'll keep on going this direction. I appreciate it and hope to see you again soon. Bye.